Hi, I'm Josh Beam, and I'm your student's pre-IB World History teacher for the year. Quick little side note about why I'm uploading a video rather than being available on Teams. When we were given the schedule for open house, there was no schedule. We were told that parents can log on between 6 and 8:15, and just pop into whichever class they want, whenever they want, and stay for as long or as little as they wanted. My thought was that would lead to a very chaotic first hour, if not the entire time frame, where parents are popping in and out and they want me to restart the discussion or what we're talking about doesn't apply to their student. I have multiple classes that I teach. It didn't make sense to me to talk about senior stuff when I have sophomores sophomore parents waiting to hear about their courses information. So I made this video. If you have any questions at the end of the video, please reach out to me. My email address is beam, B-E-A-M-M, @pcsb.org. A little bit about myself. I graduated from Sankey High in 2006, from USF in 2012 with a degree in history, and I've been teaching since 2013. This is my 4th year in the IB program. A little bit about the content we're looking at this year. We are finishing up our religion unit this week, and they have their first test on Thursday or Friday, depending on when they have me in the rotation. We're then going to move on to the Roman and Byzantine empires, and then the Islamic and West African empires, and then get to about medieval Japan by the time we get to Thanksgiving break. And then we'll come back for those 2 weeks, look at medieval Europe, and then study for the midterm exam. And then we have winter break. After that, we're going to start with the Renaissance, Reformation, absolutism, the Enlightenment and scientific revolutions, and the French Revolution. That's up to spring break. When we come back, the last quarter of the year will be spent on imperialism, the Industrial Revolutions, World War I, the Russian Civil War, and then Lenin and Stalin as dictators or authoritarians. If you have an older student or friends who took this class in the previous few years, either with me or another teacher, we stopped at World War I because that is the first thing students would cover the next year in SL or HL history. We are changing things up a little bit this year. We're trying to make the transition between sophomore and junior year a little bit easier. So we're putting more of the junior content at the end of this year. This way students will get experience not just the reading and the level of reading that they keep up with, but the amount of reading, the types of writing that's expected of them. And they've already gotten a little bit of a taste of the writing so far. In previous years, we did some writing. This year, we're going to amp that up some, again, to make that transition to next year easier. One of the things we want students to understand is that writing for history is different than writing for English and then for science or a foreign language or anything else. And writing for IB history is a little bit different on top of that. So again, we'll spend more time writing, and hopefully the students, by the time they get to junior year, it doesn't matter HL or SL history, they'll have a better grasp of what is expected of them when they get to that level. Your student was already given a textbook that can stay at home for the entire year. They don't need to bring it with them ever. If we ever use it in class, there's an online version available to them through Clever that's free. But most of our readings will be through PDFs and scans that I will upload to ManageBack for your student to have. I know when some parents read the syllabus, there was some concern about not having green pens in time. Your student doesn't need green pens yet. The green pens are for writing. One of the things we do in the SL and HL history is to have students write in black, blue, and green ink all in the same paper. And it's all color-coded. That way students see what they're missing and pops out immediately for them. We're going to start doing that a little bit after Labor Day. So the students have had a few weeks to get a green pen. It's not been imperative yet, but they will need it in the coming weeks. Another thing we're doing this year to make the transition a little bit easier is changing the grading scale. This year, the course is more heavily weighted on test grades than it has been in the past. Again, to make that transition a little bit more easy for the student. To make things a little bit easier for them, kind of offset this heavy weight of the test grades. Reading homework is optional. It's very highly recommended that they do it and they keep notes, but we're not going to check that every class. That's up to them to keep up with or not. The students will be given the readings for the entire unit at the start of the unit, and then again, it's up to them to pace themselves as far as how much reading they want to get done in a night. Another thing we're going to do to make it a little bit easier is, on top of that optional homework, some of the other homework will also be just a participation grade. It'll be checked for kind of quality and accuracy. We do small group discussions and warm-ups, and I'll be able to see who's keeping up and who needs a little bit more help. But when they turn in the units, for the most part, it'll be a participation grade. Another thing we're doing to help with the heavy weighted test is allowing students to retake a section of the test if they earn a C or lower on that section. So my test, there are 3 sections. Brand new content is section 1. The previous unit is section 2, and the entire year is section 3. So in Portal, there'll be 3 test grades: section 1, section 2, section 3. And if a student gets a C or lower in any one of those sections, they can retake that section. If they get 2 C's or 3 C's or lower, they can retake any or all those. It's up to them. But it is suggested that they retake that section or sections. On test day, the students will take the test, will then grade it in class, and when a student walks out of that block, they should know what they have on multiple sections, if not every section. I'm going to keep the test, that way I can put it into Portal, and students are allowed to come up to my room after school or during one of their diploma support periods to look at the test and see what they need to work on. Something else we're doing is the extra credit. Every quarter, students are allowed to sing the school alma mater for 10 points. If they don't know it, it's on the football field, it's in the gym. They can ask our cheerleader, a band member, or a pitchfork member of our choir or chorus. They all know the song, they can get up there. And also during homecoming week in late October, I believe it's late October, students can dress up according to that day's theme, and they'll get a couple points then also. If a student is ever absent, they can check Manage Back. That's where the work will be. If it's not there, if they email me, I'll upload it as quickly as possible for them. A little bit about why we're kind of changing things up to make the transition a little bit easier. One of the kind of debriefing students that are seniors in their time with us, one of the kind of complaints was the transition is difficult when they get to be juniors because they're not used to the level of reading involved in most of their classes and the change in writing that's required of them. That is one reason that I wanted this class, because I know what's expected of those students when they get to their junior or senior year. I've been teaching that course for a few years now, and you look at my students' test results, they're among the best in the school. They earn a 1 through 7 on the IB history exam, or all their IB exams. They need a 4 to pass. The global average on SL history, which my students took last year, was a 5. My students' average was a 5.56. Which is also higher than most of the other IB classes in general with their average scores. Again, the scores 1 through 7. I had 7 sevens, which was the most. I'm not saying this to toot my horn or to sound like I'm amazing, but I do want you to know that there's a method to what we're doing here, and that we're not trying to overload students. We're not trying to beat up on students. We're trying to get them prepared, and we know best how to prepare them. And if we can sprinkle a little bit writing throughout this year, and then preview the type of material and work that'll be expected next year, we can do that at the end of this year. The hope is that those students will be successful. If you have any questions from me, my name or my email address is beam, BEAMM @pcsb.org. Please reach out if you have anything. You guys can have a good night.